Celebrities love to do their own stunts. Sometimes you get incredible shots that make you look awesome, and sometimes you're reminded why stunt people exist. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 on-set Hollywood stunts gone horribly wrong. Number 10. Kate Winslet in Titanic. Who would have guessed that a movie involving one of the biggest tragedies in human history would have bad juju on set? Titanic was a James Cameron film released in 1997. If you don't know what the Titanic is, read a book! To sum it up, a ship traveling from England to New York carrying a ton of passengers, 2,200 to be exact, collided with an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank, taking most of the passengers with it. The film followed a love story between two passengers, Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, and in the last half of the movie we see them struggle to stay above water. And this is where the stunts kicked in. During one scene where the two are trudging through the water in the bowels of the ship, they come across a closed gate which soon begins rushing with water, and the coat that she was wearing was so heavy that it ended up getting caught in the fence and she was pulled under as the water came in. According to Kate, she had to shimmy her way out of the coat in order to get herself above water. When she popped up, she almost fainted from the lack of oxygen, but rather than make sure she was okay, the director was just like, "Alright, perfect, let's do that again." According to Cameron, he had no idea what was happening because Kate was a very passionate performer. It wasn't uncommon for her to venture off and cry alone after an emotional scene. He didn't realize until about 10 minutes after the incident that she was legitimately shaken up. And on top of that scene, she almost drowned a second time during a stunt where her oxygen tube wasn't working properly, and having to film the scene underwater, she was accidentally swallowing mouthfuls of, well, water. Despite the near fatal experience, she has had nothing but nice things to say about the project, which still holds the title as one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Number 9. Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future Part 3. The Back to the Future trilogy is filled with many memorable moments. Marty's hoverboard chase in 2015, the first time the DeLorean ever travels back in time, and of course the clock tower hanging from the third installment in 1990. The film was set in the Old West in 1885 and featured some incredible scenes, just adding to the already perfect trilogy. In one particular scene in the third movie, Marty, played by Michael J. Fox, is strung up and hung at the clock tower. Now, hanging is already one of the most dangerous stunts in the industry, and if it's done poorly, it can lead to some dreadful results. While the rehearsals went well, on the shoot day the rope was pulled just too tight and it caused him to actually go unconscious for a few seconds. Michael joked that his buddy and director Robert Zemeckis was very quick to notice the struggle was real, claiming that he wasn't that good of an actor. Thankfully, the team acted quickly and Michael was brought back to his feet. Number 8. Jason Statham in Expendables 3. The Expendables series has been filled to the brim with stunning action sequences and stellar performances from its cast. But in the third entry of the film, one of its key members was almost lost to a stunt gone wrong. During the first act of the film, the crew head to Somalia on a mission that, of course, goes wrong, and they find themselves in an intense car chase with the villain Stonebeck's henchmen. Jason's character is driving a flatbed truck that eventually screeches to a halt, allowing the team to fire on the enemy. However, during one take of this shot, the brakes in Jason's truck malfunctioned and he careened off of a pier into the Black Sea. Thankfully, Jason is a man of many talents, and one of which is being a former Olympic diver. Jason busted out of the vehicle in true action hero form and was rescued by the stunt team. During the press tour of the film, Jason recounted the moment as one that put things in perspective, having a new appreciation for his career and his life. Given some of the entries on this list will include people passing away or suffering life-threatening injuries, it's nice that JJ pulled something positive from this experience. Number 7. Channing Tatum in Foxcatcher. Channing has been a staple in the world of Hollywood for a few years now. Ever since starring in Magic Mike, his career has gone nowhere but up. In 2014, Channing took a turn to the more dramatic side of acting and starred in the film Foxcatcher, playing a professional wrestler named Mark Schultz. During one scene in particular, Channing's character becomes frustrated and bangs his head into a mirror, and despite the mirror being made of fake glass, Channing hit his head so hard that he broke through the prop and he made a hole in the wall behind it, missing a stud by only 4 inches. Thankfully, all he got from that ordeal was a massive gash on his head and a really good shot for the movie. Number 6. Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Tom is no stranger to doing his own stunts. This dude has hung off the side of planes, he's free climbed skyscrapers, and he almost broke Oprah in 2005. While filming Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Tom was attempting what he claims to be an easy stunt, which was him leaping from one skyscraper to another. Footage from the side shows Tom's foot colliding with the side of the building and bending in a way that feet really should not bend. He knew his ankle was broken instantly, but he didn't want to lose the take, so he simply pulled himself up and jogged off frame. The production was put on hold for a few weeks to allow him to heal, but instead of reshooting the scene, the shot with the broken foot was left in the movie, being a stunt that went horribly wrong, but also super right. Number 5. Rebel Wilson in Bride Hard. Pitch Perfect star Rebel Wilson took to Instagram a few days ago to update the world after an incident on set of a new film left her rushing to the hospital. Rebel was filming a scene for her new action comedy called Bride Hard, in which she plays a super spy who tries to navigate the dangerous world of being a bridesmaid. Apparently, while trying to film a stunt, something struck Rebel in the face, leaving her nose wide open and in need of stitches. She hasn't actually mentioned what scene caused the incident, but considering this is an action-heavy comedy, the possibilities are endless. I guess we'll just have to wait for that final project coming to a theater near you. Number 4. S.J. Harris in Deadpool 2. This fun sequel in the Deadpool franchise was well received when released in theaters despite the grisly on-set accident that took place while filming one particular bike-heavy scene. Professional motorcyclist S.J. Harris was riding a motorbike for a scene through the streets of Vancouver when she suddenly lost control of the bike and was thrown through the window of a building. She was standing in for Domino, aka Zazie Beetz, and was not wearing a helmet at the time, which the coroner confirmed to be the main cause of her passing. This wasn't her choice, as she was acting under the guidance of the director and the stunt coordinator, who were charged $300,000 due to multiple high-risk violations. According to the investigation, the stunt team failed to actually test the equipment before the stunt. Nobody made sure that it was safe to drive, and her family was also going to sue the production, but they were given a settlement outside of court. Number 3. Isla Fisher in Now You See Me. Magic's in the air. Now You See Me was a little action movie about an FBI agent played by Mark Ruffalo chasing a team of magicians who pull off elaborate bank heists during their performances. During one scene in particular, actor Isla Fisher was placed in a glass tank and chained up for an escape act. The stunt team set her up with a magnetic release so that the metal chains around her body wouldn't tangle. Oh, but they did! The chains wrapped themselves around Isla in a way that prevented the mechanism from working. The team had placed a switch in the tank that could drain it in 70 seconds. However, as a result of being tangled up, she couldn't actually reach the switch. While the crew did eventually catch on that she was in real trouble, it wasn't before the cameras rolled and captured her genuine terror. The clip taken during the incident was left in the final product of the movie, so when she's banging on the glass and begging to be set free, that's not acting. The stunt gone wrong, coupled with the poor reception of the film, caused her to step back from the sequel, instead being rewritten and recasted as Lizzie Kaplan. Number 2. David Holmes in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. The Harry Potter series are treasured pieces of cinema in the eyes of its hardcore fans. Despite making massive waves at the box office, it wasn't until after the series wrapped that some inside information started coming through. If you've seen the Harry Potter series, you know that there is a surprising amount of practical stunt work, but the main cast could never get tied up to wires for the really intense stuff, so they brought in trained professionals. One man named David Holmes was standing in for Daniel Radcliffe during a stunt. Flying is one of the more difficult things to pull off in practicality, especially when there's a lot of wires involved, so during the stunt, he was thrown back trying to mimic an explosion, but instead of hitting a large mat, he slammed into a brick wall, breaking his neck. During an interview with The Mirror, Holmes discussed remembering the day very well, claiming that the pain was similar to a broken bone that he had in the past, but everywhere. The stunt coordinator walked over to test his mobility, and while David was able to reach out his hand, he was unable to squeeze, and that's when he knew that something was wrong. David now spends his days in a wheelchair, but he has maintained a pretty positive outlook towards it. He's taken time to focus on his personal interests, like racing a specially modified car in his free time with like gears and stuff on the steering wheel. It actually looked pretty cool. And partnered with 2 tetraplegic friends to launch Ripple Productions, where they create a series of podcasts for people who've suffered from traumatic injuries. And at number 1, Alec Baldwin on Rust. Alec was an Emmy Award-winning actor, making iconic appearances both on the silver screen and the small screen at home. But unfortunately, in 2021, his prop department failed to do their jobs properly, resulting in the accidental slaying of a cinematographer named Helena Hutchins. While filming a rustic western movie, Alec was practicing a scene with his prop, but instead of blanks, it was loaded with actual ammunition. Following the on-set tragedy, Alec faced a massive slew of backlash and anger. Alec and the film's armorer were facing criminal charges. As the investigation went on, more and more evidence came to light that painted Alec in a better light. The pew pew had been modified with a new switch, making it easier for a misfire to take place. It was also proven that Alec had no knowledge of there being any live ammunition involved, and he relied on the professionals who assured him that it was safe. Eventually, the charges were dropped as it was determined that this was an actual accident. And those were the worst on-set stunts gone wrong. Did we miss any good ones? Well, let us know in the comments below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoy our content and you want to see more. It means a lot to us here at the channel. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen today, and we'll see you next time.